Hello, my dear students. My name is Shashiwalia, and once again, I welcome you all on my YouTube channel, Curious Physics. Today, I am going to start the third part of the second chapter, electrostatic potential and capacitance. In this particular chapter, I am going to start electrostatic of conductors. This particular portion before capacitors is just a theory portion, but this theory portion, or you can say the properties of electrostatics of conductor, is very important to increase your conceptual clarity in this particular topic. There will be no numericals in this particular topic, but yes, there are so many concepts, so which the understanding of that particular concepts may increase your understanding of this particular chapter, okay, or you can say increase your understanding of the electrostatics. Okay, so without wasting any time, I am going to start. So the topic is electrostatic of conductors, and the first property of the conductor is inside a conductor electrostatic field is zero. Inside a conductor electrostatic field is zero. For example, there is a conductor. Let's say there is a conductor, and this particular conductor is solid. This particular conductor is a solid conductor, and there is a external electric field. There is a external electric field. External electric field in which this particular conductor is placed. Okay, now here when you apply an external electric field, then the negative electrons, or you can say the electrons, will move away from this. If direction of electric field is, let's say, from point A to point B, then electrons in this particular conductor will move from this particular side, from right hand side to left hand side, under the influence of the external electric field. So this particular portion here, the negative charge will accumulate. Okay, and if the electrons move from this particular right hand side to left, then at right hand side a positive charge, you can say there will be positive charge, there will be net positive charge, according to, you can say, conservation of charge. Okay, are you able to understand my point? Then then inside the conductor, due to distribution of this positive and negative charge, there will be induced electric field. These are the positive charges and these are the negative charges. This induced electric field induced. These electric field induced, and this induced electric field have a direction opposite to the external electric field, and these particular charges, positive and negative charges, arranged themselves in such a way the net electric field will be zero. So after some time, E external will become equal to E induced, due to distribution of charges, due to distribution of charges. And direction of F external and E external and E induced is opposite in direction, so E net inside the conductor always will be zero. So E external minus E induced is equal to 0, and the basic concept is, under the influence of the external electric field, the charges inside the conductor arranged itself in such a way the induced electric field will always be equal to the external electric field. So the net electric field inside the conductor always zero under the influence of external field. This is a very important property, very important property. Next is basically the theory portion. A conductor can be neutral or charged, may be influenced by an external electrostatic field. In a static situation, the electric field inside a conductor is always zero. This happens because the conductors have free electrons that move under any non-zero electric field. Yes, in this case, particular situation, electrons or negative charge move from right hand side to left hand side. These electrons redistribute themselves until the electric field becomes zero everywhere inside. So the basic conclusion is electrostatic field is always zero inside a conductor in the electrostatic equilibrium. I hope are you able to understand this particular point. Next point is, at the surface of the charged conductor, electrostatic field must be normal to the surface at every point. Okay, this particular point we have discussed when for in the case of equipotential surfaces, where we said that the electric field is always perpendicular to the equipotential surface. If not, for example, this is the any charge placed and this is the conductor. For example, if this is the conductor and let's say positive charge is given to this conductor, and this positive charge will reside in the surface. Okay, then due to this positive charge, electric field will be in this direction. Okay, and this particular direction, let's say it's normal to the surface. But if you want to prove this point, the electric field is always perpendicular to the surface, then let's consider opposite case. Let's say this is the net electric field which is not perpendicular to the surface, and this electric field is making, for example, theta angle with the surface, then E net has two components. One is this component E cos theta, and this will be E sin theta. Mean to say that electric field is not perpendicular to the surface and there is a component of electric field along the surface. Okay, if this is the electric field and this particular charge is distributed on the surface, then this particular charge which is on the surface experiences a force of attraction or repulsion, or you can say that this particular, if this is the case, then charge feel or experience feel force due to this E cos theta, which is not possible. Charge never moves on the surface. That's why this is not possible. This is not possible. And E cos theta always zero. If E cos theta is zero, then electric field always be perpendicular to the surface. Always be perpendicular to the surface. If this is not the case, then there is a component of electric field along the surface and it experiences a force, or it try to move along the surface, which is not possible. Are you able to understand my point? So this is basically the theory portion. The electrostatic field E at a surface of a charged conductor must be normal to the surface. If E were not normal, it would have a tangential component free along the surface, and the free charges on the surface would then experience a tangential force and move and the disturbing electrostatic equilibrium. To maintain a static situation, the field E must have no tangential component. If this is not the case, therefore at every point on the surface of a charged conductor, the electrostatic field is perpendicular to the surface. Okay, are you able to understand my point? Okay, next is third basic property is the interior of a conductor can have no excess charge in the static situation. Mean to say that the idea of third particular property is, if the charge is given to a solid conductor, then the all charge is reside on the surface. For example, if this is any conductor and you give Q positive charge to this particular surface, then as you know that according to, and this is the property, this whole charge will distribute on the surface and there will be no charge, or net charge will be zero inside the surface. And as we know that if this is the let's say this is the Gaussian surface, let's consider this a Gaussian surface, and in property 1 we said that the electric field inside this conductor is always zero. Inside this conductor is zero. If electric field is zero, then according to the Gauss's law, which we have studied in chapter 1, the concept word EDS is equal to Q in by epsilon naught. If E is equal to 0, then if E or electric field is equal to 0, then Q net should be equal to 0. Mean to say that there will be no excess charge. Q in equal to 0. From here we can also derive one more you can say property. If electric field inside a conductor is 0, then the potential will be constant, and potential will be constant. This is the property, but we are studying this concept. We can extend this concept. If electric field inside a conductor is 0, then potential should be 0, or potential difference should be constant. Potential difference should be 0 and potential is constant. Why? If electric field is 0, then there will be no electric field lines, and if you want to move a charge inside a conductor, then work done will be 0, because work done, if you move a particular charge in an electric field, then you have to apply external force. If there is no electric field, then the value of work done will be 0. If the value of work done will be 0, then work done per unit charge also 0, and potential is equal to constant, and potential difference is 0. V is constant. If electric field is 0, then potential will be constant, and that particular value is V inside equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Q is the charge at the surface and R is the radius. Mean to say that from this particular point, let's say A, and center O, the potential remain same, and its value will be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Just to increase your conceptual clarity, I have extended this third property, but the basic idea is electric field, or you can say the charge inside a static condition, there will be no excess charge, or the Q in the charge inside the conductor will be 0. Are you able to understand my point? This is basically theory portion. A neutral conductor has equal amount of positive and negative charge in every small volume or surface element. When charged, any excess charge resides only on the surface in the static situation. This result comes from the Gauss law. Inside the conductor, the electrostatic field is zero, hence the total electric flux through any closed surface inside the conductor is zero. So no net charge is enclosed within any volume inside the conductor. All excess charges must lie on the surface. This is the basic theory part. You can make notes out of this, but the basic conceptual clarity should be there. Electrostatic potential is constant throughout the volume of the conductor and has the same value which we have discussed in the previous part. We have just discussed that the electric field is zero. If electric field is equal to zero, then work done will be equal to zero, and work done will be zero, then potential is equal to zero and is equal to constant, and potential difference is equal to zero. We have discussed this second part related to the fourth property. Mean to say that this both third and fourth property you can say related to each other. Electric field at the surface of a charged conductor. Okay, you have to find the value of electric field. So let's say this is a conductor. This is the conductor. And in this particular conductor, let's consider there is a positive charge Q is distributed on the surface. As we discussed earlier, charge only resides on the surface. Okay, are you able to getting my point? So the idea is next is you have to first of all in case of solid and the surface, you have to define surface charge density, and surface charge density will be Q by A, or you can say surface area Q by A, surface area of this sphere Q by A. Let's consider a small element, this particular small element, and here the electric field, the direction of electric field must be radially outward, because inside the conductor electric field will be zero. And let's say this small element have an area dA. Then this, let's say this is the Gaussian surface. This is the small element is the Gaussian surface. Let's say this particular surface is 1, this is 2 and 3. So electric field through 1 and 2 will be zero, because electric flux is moving outward direction and makes an angle 90 with surface areas of 1 and 2, and makes an angle 0 with the 3. Okay, so according to Gauss law, E into dA, the small area dA, is equal to Q in divided by epsilon naught. So E dot dA, Q in value in this particular small surface, the value will be charge density into dA, EA, and dA will cancel each other. So, and epsilon naught, E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. This result, and in the previous chapter you have studied a concept that the infinite plate, the electric field at a particular point is sigma by 2 epsilon naught. In that particular case, there was basically two areas, one from this side and other from this side, from where the flux can come out. But in this case there is only one area, and that one area is 3. So the electric field at the surface of a charged conductor is sigma by epsilon naught. This is the very simple concept. You have to just stick to the basics. stick to the basics. So the electric field at a particular point outside, on the surface, or you can say a point very near to the surface, or you can say on the surface, is sigma by epsilon naught, and value of sigma is q by a. So always remember, this case is different from the infinite plate which we have discussed in the last chapter in the applications of Gauss law. In the case of applications of Gauss law, okay, are you able to understand my point? So this is basically next is electrostatic shielding. Electrostatic shielding, the meaning of shielding is protection. The meaning of shielding is protection. Electrostatic shielding say that if, for example, this is a conductor and there is a cavity inside, there is a, let's say this is the cavity, means this part is solid, and internal part is not solid. Internal part is not solid. This is the cavity. If you apply an electric field, external electric field, let's say external electric field is E. Let's say external electric field is E. Then according to the property 1, there will be no electric field inside the conductor, or you can say, if there is no charge in the cavity, electric field in the cavity due to the external electric field is 0, or you can say that this cavity is free from the influence of the external electric field, free from the influence of the external electric field. Mean to say that there will be no impact of external electric field on this particular cavity, or you can say this external electric field cannot influence this particular cavity. So this particular cavity is protected from the external electric field. For example, it is advised to stay in your car when there is a condition of thunderstorms and lightning. Why? Because the car is work as a conductor and the interior of the car is work as a cavity. So external electric field produced by that particular the discharging of charges, or you can say by lightning, that particular the property of car, if car is a conductor, then this cavity, that particular lightning will never harm you. Are you able to understand my point? This is called the electrostatic shielding. So in this particular cavity, you can put your electric appliances, electric or electronics sensitive devices, because this particular cavity is independent from external influence. Are you able to understand my point? Okay, so this is electrostatic shielding. This is the very special property of conductors. So a conductor with a cavity and no charge inside shows zero electric field within the cavity. This is basically the theory of electrostatic shielding. The result is true regardless of the cavity size, shape or external electric fields. Whatever is the situation, there will be no influence of external electric field. A simpler case was proved earlier. The electric field inside a charged spherical shell is zero due to spherical symmetry. For any conductor with a charge-free cavity, the electric field inside the cavity always vanishes independent of the external external charge or field configuration. If the conductor is charged or influenced by external fields, all charges accumulate on the outer surface. The cavity interior remains field free. This principle is used to protect sensitive instruments from external electrical influences. Example: a person is free from the lighting if he sits inside the car. Inside the car, there are other so many examples, but the basic conceptual clarity is cavity is independent from the influence from external field. This is basically the example. A comb run through one's dry hair attracts a small bits of paper. Why? What happens if the so due to friction, for example, this is comb, and due to friction, this comb gets polarized. This comb can, if this particular comb you can say, if this comb polarized, then there will be some torque. This particular torque on the piece of papers, gets basically polarized, and due to this polarization, the force of attraction or repulsion will be there. Okay, so due to friction, what happens if the hair is wet? If hair is wet, then you can say that if hairs are wet, then there is, due to lack of friction, the friction is low, there is the low charge produced, and the charge is low, then this particular polarization will not take place. Next is, ordinary rubber is an insulator, but special rubber tires of aircraft are made slightly conducting. Why? Because this particular, due to when this particular aeroplane lands on the you can say the hard road, then there can be, due to accumulation of high charge on the insulators, and there is a fear of spark, and that particular spark can destroy the tires. If tires are made somewhat conducting, that particular charge can flow from tires to the earth. Okay, that's the basic concept. Vehicles carrying inflammable materials usually have metallic ropes. Again, this particular conducting materials avoid the accumulation of charge, because the conductors can through conductors charge can easily move, but through insulators charge will not able to move. A bird perches on a bare high power line and nothing happens to the bird. A man standing on the ground touches the same line and gets a fatal shock, because when that particular bird is you can say sit on that particular high power line, that there will be no potential difference. If bird, you can say bird is sit here, then here is the same potential V, and there will be no electric field move from high potential to low potential, and if potential is same, the electric field will be, you can say, zero. So there will be no potential difference for bird, but a particular man touches that wire, and man will be on surface of earth, and surface of earth, let's say, will not be at same potential. Let's say therefore, and in maximum cases the potential on earth will be 0, so the potential difference will be V minus 0 V. So that's why there will be a flow of charge through that particular person, and he gets shock, he can get shock. Okay, are you able to understand my point? Okay, this is the basic, all the 4 examples related to the theory portion what we have discussed earlier. Okay, next is dielectric and polarization. Dielectrics and polarization. Dielectrics basically are the materials. Dielectrics is not so important, but yes, you have to study this. Dielectrics are materials which are not able to conduct charges freely. Conduct charges freely. Okay, so dielectrics, in dielectrics, there is formation of dipoles in the influence of external electric field. Okay, and one more point, like conductors, there will be net electric field, inside these dielectrics, because induced electric field is not equal to applied external E external. These are basically the proper knowledge about dielectrics. Dielectrics are the materials but not same as the conductors. In dielectrics, for example, this is the dielectric material. There are no free electrons. If this is the dielectric and there is a net external field, for example, E field is, then there is a formation of E induced. Due to the recombination of, or you can say the distribution of charge particles inside this particular dielectric, but E induced never be equal to E external. This is basically the dielectrics. For your basic understandings, these are dielectrics. Okay, and dielectrics are of two types. Dielectrics are of two types. One is polar and second one is non-polar. Okay, in case of non-polar, positive and negative charge points are concentrated on same points. Charge points are at one point. You can say these are one on another. There is no separation between. You can say there is no separation between positive and negative charges. Okay, there will be no separation between positive and negative charges, but in this particular polar, positive and negative charges are separated by a distance. And if these are separated by a distance, then there is a formation of dipoles. They form dipoles. And there is, in case of non-polar, there is formation of no dipole. Famous example of polar dielectrics are, famous example in your book is, famous example of polar is HCl and H2O Okay, and non-polar example is oxygen and I think it's CO2, oxygen and CO2. Okay, Okay, so this is basically the difference between polar and non-polar. In polar, there is a natural dipoles inside the material, and non-polar, there will be no natural dipoles. Okay, but in both the cases, but here in case of polar dielectrics, the net dipole moment is zero, because under the, you can say, if there is no external force, then these dipoles are oriented in random position, and they cut, or you can say cancel the each other's dipole moments, electric dipole, each other's dipole moments. Okay, the net dipole moment of both polar and non-polar is zero without the application of external field. In case of non-polar, there is no dipoles because positive and negative charges is situated at one place. But in case of polar, there is a distance between you can say between the positive and negative charges. That's why there is a formation of dipoles, but the dipole moment is zero because the dipoles due to every molecules is cut out or the cancelled by the dipole moment of the other, because all are in randomly oriented. So here the basic summary is dielectrics are the materials. There will be net internal, you can say, field inside the dielectrics, because dielectrics shows property not same like the conductors. There is a formation of dipoles inside the dielectrics on which on this particular property dielectrics are divided into two parts. One is polar and other is non-polar. And in the influence of this, next point is main point of in the influence of external electric field, polar as well as non-polar, shows some dielectric movement. Why? In case of non-polar, external electric field separate the positive and negative charge. Positive charge moves toward the electric field and negative opposite to this. So there is a formation of dipoles. In non-polar dielectrics with the influence of external electric field. But in case of polars, dipoles are already there with the in the influence of external electric field. These dipoles oriented in some particular direction, and the net dipole moment will be there. And this properties of these materials, there is a formation of net dipoles and dipole moments in dielectrics, polar as well as non-polar. Dipole moments in dielectrics, non-polar and polar and non-polar, there is a formation of net dipoles and dipole moments in dielectrics, polar as well as non-polar, is known as polarization. Are you able to getting my point? If there is a net external electric field, non-polar, there is a formation of dipoles, and there is, due to this dipole, there will be net dipole moment. And in case of polar, dipoles are already there and they shows a net dipole moment. So dipole moment will be there with the influence of external electric field in polar as well as in non-polar. So this particular property is known as polarization. Okay, and polarization is written in the form of P, and this particular polarization is dipole moment per unit volume. Simply in one line, the polarization is defined as these dielectrics attain some net dipole moment due to the net external electric field. This is basically polarization. Are you able to understand my point? Formation of net dipole moment with the help of net external electric field. There should be no confusion. Okay, so this is basically the theory. Okay, you can okay, so you can take a picture of this. Okay, so this is basically the theory. There is a line, linear isotropic dielectrics, the types of dielectrics in which dipole moment is directly proportional to the field strength. Field strength means external electric field, and here the polarization net dipole moment is E naught psi E, and there is something like electric susceptibility of dielectrics. So this is basically the topic of polarization and dielectric. Polarization of dielectric. You can take pictures. Kindly check the examples and you can take the pictures. Okay, so this is basically all about the basic properties of conductors and what we have studied about the dielectrics, the polar and non-polar. Okay, so that's it from my side for today. See you soon for the last part of this particular chapter. The main topic is capacitors, and we will also solve all the questions of exercise. Okay, so that's it from my side. Take care, have a nice time. Okay, take care, bye bye.